profitable for him individually.
Mother was following the Paul Coverdale campaign, and Paul was way behind in the run against Weich Fowler, and it was 20 to 30 points. I mean, nobody gave him a chance of winning at the time. And 6 weeks before the election, she wrote a jingle, and she called Coverdale's campaign headquarters, and Tom Perdue answered the phone.
It was September the 9th. There were 2 people in Paul Coverdale's headquarters, I believe, that night, which is very unusual for a campaign. An active campaign in a general election at 7:15 at night should have 10 to 15 people working. Not the staff in Coverdale's campaign. They went home. And I answered the phone, because at that time of night there was nobody to answer the phone, so I answered the phone. And this voice on the other end introduced herself as Margie Lopp from Cuthbert, Georgia. She said, "Well, who is this? I'm looking for Tom Perdue." I said, "Well, I am Tom Perdue." She said, "You know you're losing, don't you?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Well, you need a catchy jingle." And she said, I've written a catchy jingle for Paul. She kept calling it a catchy jingle. And I said, "Well, say it or sing it or read it or whatever you do with your jingle." Still not certain that this wasn't a crank call. And she wouldn't. And I finally said, "Ma'am, if you're real, you just paid a long-distance phone call to call up here to tell me that Paul Coverdale is losing. And you said you've written us a jingle and that we need a jingle to win. Would you please sing the damn jingle?" And Margie sang the jingle. And I asked her, did she have it recorded or would she record it and send it to me? I'd like to let some people hear it. She did, and in fact, she sent me the whole tape recorder. She sent me the cassette and the entire tape recorder. And within a week, we had a film crew in Cuthbert.
Let's put Paul Coverdale in the Senate and put Weich Fowler out. Weich has proved we don't need him in it, and Georgia wants him out. But with Paul Coverdale, we'll have a leader, of that there is no doubt. So vote Paul Coverdale in the Senate and put Weich Fowler out. Now, Paul needs to catch a jingle, so y'all use that.
And all hell broke loose. People calling wanting their money back. Contributors saying they wanted their money back, that they didn't contribute to a campaign to pay for ads like that.
I walked into the office and I had a stack of pink message slips for the media consultant. The secretary there handed me a stack like this. Most of them said, "Dear Paul, fire your media consultant. That's the worst commercial I've ever seen."
We had just destroyed the campaign and it caught fire. I mean, it caught fire.
We've got a very interesting commercial. This one comes from Georgia, where folks all over the state are humming this tune.
Put Paul Coverdale in the Senate and
put Weich Fowler out. Weich has proved we don't need him in it, and Georgia wants him out. But with Paul Coverdale, we'll have a leader, and that there is no doubt. So put Paul Coverdale in the Senate and put Weich Fowler out.
She's perfect. She's wonderful. I love her, and I think she's a great character, and it's fun. And
it was so memorable. One woman came up to me and said that she had gone into labor for about 8 hours, and she could not get that catchy jingle out of her head. And she said, I sang that jingle to myself for about 8 hours while I was in labor, and she said, it drove me crazy. But people couldn't get it out of their head.
There were morning shows where people would call in, and the contest question was, can you sing the Margie Lopp jingle? I mean, it caught fire. And it put Paul back in the campaign in the spotlight. and then he proved he could dance.
From WSB-TV Atlanta, coverage you can count on. This is Channel 2 Action News Night Beat.
That campaign jingle by Margie Lopp proved prophetic. It appears tonight challenger Paul Coverdale unseats Democratic incumbent Wyche Fowler in the U.S. race for Senate.
I've said this a million times since that race. Paul Coverdale would not have gone to the United States Senate without Margie Lopp. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind he would never have been a United States Senator without Margie Lopp.
That should be a lesson to all of us that one person can really be responsible for significant change and really changing the world. And none of that would have happened, Paul's good work, had she not called about that jingle.